so I think one of the key issues with the geopolitical sands shifting in the US for me now is that people who are immigration uncertain, so people who aren't US citizens, feel a particular risk. Now, so many of my clients are journalists and exiles. They're people who fled one regime and they've sought sanctuary elsewhere. You know, they're people who have made their home in London, they've made their home in Washington, DC, they've made their home in New York, and they're journalists, and they're honing their craft, and they're continuing to do their job now in their new country. And what we're now finding in the US is that many people feel that it is no longer a place of sanctuary. So, for example, we've seen threats in recent weeks that anyone who holds passports from certain countries, for example, will be at risk. Now, if you're an Afghan or if you're Iranian, and you're a journalist, you're very likely to be in the US because you're opposed to the Taliban or you're opposed to the Iranian regime. And suddenly finding that your place of safety is no longer a place of safety is a real issue. So I sit on the board of the Committee to Protect Journalists, and that is the number one issue on which we're currently working at the moment, those individuals who are immigration uncertain. But also, of course, you've mentioned there the issue about your texts and so on when you're going across the border. I was just at the International Journalism Festival in Perugia a number of weeks ago. I know a number of people in the room were at that. And a key topic of conversation for people who were returning to the US, even when they were US nationals, was that they travelled with burner phones, that they'd taken steps to ensure that they were protected when they were going back across the border. That's the world we're now in. These kind of tactics which we've had to think about for a long time when I'm advising a client who's entering the UAE or a client who's entering Saudi Arabia or a client who's entering the Philippines, for example.
Kazakhstan, yes.
Exactly. Are now issues that we're having to think about in Western countries.